They basically, what they need to do is, if not fire everybody that are working at these studios now from the creative side of things, they at least need to be remanded to junior positions and bring in people at the top again who are actually capable, talented, and can make good movies and know how to reach audiences, instead of starting every production off at Disney based on what kind of representation are we going to have in this movie. There's too much white. There's not enough this. I mean, it sounds crazy, but this is what Disney is. This is what Disney has been now for years. Renegade Online. Despite the excellent audience exits with an A overall cinema score and an A+ for the under 25 bunch, true, I cannot believe this, the new paradigm of success for a Disney animated property lies in its in-game viewership on Disney+.
Stop, I can't.
What?
Okay,
Did Pro just peace out?
I can't handle this, man. I'm telling you. When I read this earlier, I can't handle this. I almost lost it when I read this.
Huh? What? How? Explain this. This makes no sense. The new paradigm of success for a Disney animated property lies in its in-game viewership on Disney+. Now, let me tell you what that sounds like.
You know why they're saying that? Sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was going to say, I know why they're saying it. That sounds like a giant pile of Disney corporate bullshit straight from the C-suite. It's not that big a deal. We know that we're bombing in the box office, but where it's really important is Disney+. No, it isn't. There's no evidence of that anywhere. These movies, they land on Disney+, and with extremely rare exception, every single one of them might show up on a Nielsen chart for a week, maybe two, depending on which day of the week they dropped. And that's it. And people just move on. They're really, and again, Disney Plus is not Netflix. They are in two different galaxies in terms of user, subscriber, member, however you want to put it, behavior and time spent shopping on the service. They're two different worlds. There is little to no value to Disney Plus with these films. Did Snow White move the needle for Disney Plus when it dropped on there? Not really. Did it bring in any new subscribers? Nope. Are any of these movies bringing in new subs? Nope. We've covered that. Disney Plus's growth has been relatively stagnant domestically for the last year-ish. They've remember they dropped some subs, they added some subs. Meanwhile, Netflix in the past year has done what? Added like 50 million? Again, it's night and day. And at the amount of money they're spending on these productions, this isn't a $40 million or $20 million or $50 million production for a streaming service. These are 250, in the case of Elio, a total disaster, $300 million productions. That was supposed to be 150. That's what the budget was, right? But, well, the budget got blown. The budget got doubled up on because they had to make the whole movie twice. Because the first time it sucked. It was supposed to come out over a year ago, 15 months ago. It was supposed to come out, what was it, March of last year, around the same time the Snow White was originally supposed to come out. They moved Snow White the October before. They put Elio in the slot. Then they realized Elio was a disaster. They kicked that out of the Snow White slot that Snow White had until they canceled that. Pushed everything back again. It's a mess. This is going to do nothing to help Disney Plus. Some kids might tune in reflexively to see, let's see what this is. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing there. They do say, however, D'Alessandro says, but if you don't create a big enough boom at the start, how do you expect word of mouth to do downstream? You don't. While we know Pixar can make an emotional movie, debatable, evident in the exits here, something is holding audiences back from running to the theaters. So obvious in the marketing, a boy with a patch and goofy aliens just isn't cutting it. And we had Alan Ng on here earlier this past week talking about this, and I think it's visually it just wasn't that appealing of a film because technically, it was a very, very remedially produced movie. Lots of medium shots, no thought process to the cinematography from almost every shot that we looked at. It looked just like Wish. It looked bland. It looked boring. There was nothing visually interesting. There was nothing captivating people about it, and people pass. You could have the greatest movie in the world, the greatest script, the greatest director, and if the cinematography is trash, people are not going to like the movie because it's a visual medium. You've got to give them something, and this movie was just one of these things that was just done very, very, very lazily. For a while, the new dog ate my homework excuse for studios is that original fare is a challenge to open, but the industry requires original fare to create franchises. What's the solution for Pixar? Better development meetings. Duh! You can't tell me that the old glory opening box office days of Pixar can't be recaptured. With all due respect to Deadline and Mr. D'Alessandro here, no, they can't. Not with the current set of employees that Pixar has. Not with the current corporate culture at Disney. No, they can't. They cannot. They basically, what they need to do is, if not fire everybody that are working at these studios now from the creative side of things, they at least need to be remanded to junior positions and bring in people at the top again who are actually capable, talented, and can make good movies and know how to reach audiences instead of starting every production off at Disney based on how many people with this skin color, this sexual orientation, what kind of representation are we going to have in this movie? There's too much white. There's not enough this. I mean, it sounds crazy, but this is what Disney is. This is what Disney has been now for years.
And all that woke stuff aside, this is right, too, because the other problem is Hollywood used to produce about roughly 70 to 80% of the films they would produce like 20, 30 years ago were original movies. And then that other 20 to 30% were sequels, remakes, whatever you want to put in that category, right? Mm-hmm. Now that's flipped. In fact, it's even worse because it's more like 90% of the crap that's out there is either a remake, a sequel, especially when you actually count Marvel as more or less sequels at this point. Because they're not even original standalone films now. Because it used to be you could at least say Iron Man kind of stood on its own, Hulk stood on its own, stuff like that, Thor and whatnot. You can't anymore because you can't see Endgame without seeing Infinity War. You can't see the new, Thunderbolts movie without seeing Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow and all the other things because the movies have now become homework, right? So you have that problem going into those films too. Elio, which should possibly be something that people could be interested in because it is an original feature, they're going to learn the wrong lesson from this. No, it's because it was a crappy movie from the start, and that's why you struggled with it. Right, that's why. What did they do? Redo it like 3 times now, Pro?
I'd say at least 2 completely. I mean, the trailer that we got, the preview trailer from 2 years ago, is a totally different film. To the point that the aunt is the mom, and the boy doesn't want to be taken by the aliens, and everything is flipped in the movie that we got. By the way, Tom, it's also a flip in terms of the way that Hollywood is addressing and assessing this. You're exactly right. This is an inversion. The reason that Hollywood is having to go to sequelitis and turn into an assembly line of pre-existing IP, and Pixar is the same thing, is because audiences have now been trained to know that the new stuff sucks. And so if you want to know, okay, why did Inside Out 2 do so well, and then Elio does this? Why did Lilo and Stitch do relatively well? Not as well as it could have, but why did it do well? And then Elio comes out and bombs this way. How can there be this chasm, this gulf between movies? And the answer to that is simply audiences will go to see something they remember being great, and they hope that you haven't destroyed it. But they're not going to the new stuff because they don't believe that Hollywood can make new stuff anymore.
No, that's what I was saying earlier.
Exactly,
they don't trust them at all. They really don't. And when you look at this, I mean, as bad as the domestic box office was, you could say, okay, maybe we'll have a Lilo and Stitch here, where we'll have almost double the amount of box office coming in from the international. Nope.
Look, and we get accused all the time. We get accused all the time of basically being like an echo chamber, right? It's like, okay, yes, that can qualify to certain aspects, but we're getting to this point where it's not even so much an echo chamber. It's just that we all see the problem.
Right. The echo is Disney's. The echo is Disney's repeated failures.
Exactly. Like it's like, look, at some point, you got to stop and step outside the bubble and go, these guys are just haters. These guys are just thistophobes and whatever. And say, look, maybe they got a fucking point, right? Because we've all been saying the same stuff for the last few years. In fact, Andre and I were one of the first people on YouTube, not to toot our own horns, that were preaching about the McDonaldization of Hollywood and how this thing was going to become a problem way before the woke crap. Mm-hmm. And that's all part of the same problem now, is that you just push the woke crap into there too, making it even more impossible.
Can we get Burger King Hollywood where I can have it my way?
Exactly. Well, we're getting there. That's the AI now, Valiant, because this is my prediction for what they're going to do with AI to compromise with that, because they're going to panic when some kid in their basement makes a better sequel Star Wars trilogy than they were able to with their computer on AI. The other side of this is Disney's going to embrace that, and basically your kid will be the star of Lilo and Stitch now, or Star Wars, or whatever. You just scan their face in, then you turn on Disney Plus, put on Star Wars, and your kid is now Luke Skywalker in the movie, right? Well, that's the future. But
make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.